They say 50 years ago, there was a man who came here. They say he wanted to build a city like Los Angeles. He carved hundreds of thousands of streets in this desert. He named the city California City. Then he left.
So hello and welcome, Liesbeth and Sofie, co-directors of Victoria. Thank you very much for being here with me right now. Victoria is one of the 10 feature films in our international feature film competition, which will be screening on Filmin from the 17th of November. And just wanted to ask you a few questions so we can talk about the film. For me, I watched the film 6 months ago, and then this week I watched it again. And it was quite interesting to watch it in the context of the US elections. Right now, the result is still pending, so it makes it even more sort of, vital. But what I suddenly realized was, in a way, the film plays with this paradox between rural, empty America and urban America, which is so prevalent now. And I just wanted to know, the origin of the film, was it an encounter with a place or a person, or with a need to explore certain themes?
It was, we first arrived in California City for Sofie's previous film, Desert Haze. Sofie was directing this film. It was about the American West and the American desert. And it was a mosaic film, so there were multiple topics and places. And California City was one of them. So it played a small role in that film. And both Isabel and me, so Isabel is the third director, who unfortunately couldn't be here at this moment. So we were assisting Sofie on that film. So we arrived together in California City. And when we were there, we thought, like, okay, this place is mind-boggling, very interesting. And we thought this place deserves a film of its own. So that was kind of the starting point. But on the other hand, also from the beginning, we knew that we didn't want to make a movie just about California City that told all the weird elements of California City, all the things of the city. But we wanted to tell that story through the eyes of somebody who lived there or who came there. California City was created in the 50s and never became what it was intended to be. But we always looked at it as a city that still had the potential of turning into something that it's intended to be. And that's why we also looked for a character that we could work with and who embodied that, a person who also still had the potential to become something else. So we went to look for it, and then we found Lachey.
Yes, because I think that's one of the things that attracted us to the city, is that it is really a place where people go to start anew. That it's kind of a phenomena that is, of course, very present in the American West, as the desert, as a place where you can go for transformation, for a new start. And that's really one of the things that attracted us to this city, is that this idea of a new start, both for California City, who is still has to become what it wants, and for the persons who go there. So we really like that. And I liked your comment that with the current election, it's really very, very clear how America, rural America and the cities are divided. And it's interesting because California City is neither. It's like the pure desert, but then again, it's the fourth biggest city of the United States. So it's an interesting place to talk about this contrast. And
yeah, absolutely. And the idea that also it's sort of empty or sort of almost pseudo-rural America, but filled with ex-urbanites, no? So, and like nothing more urban than Los Angeles or certain neighborhoods of Los Angeles. So I think that's kind of really pertinent as well, yeah.
Yeah, sure, yeah, it's true. I haven't thought about it that way in the eye of the election, but it's really true. It's not only California City, by the way, there's like a whole migration from Los Angeles to the more desert areas in general. So I guess these things, it's part of a thing that is happening all over the United States right now.
And can we maybe talk a little bit about this very layered approach to the film? I mean, formally through, you know, the different material, the different source material and what you filmed, but also thematically, you know, a little bit, you've touched on it now in talking about the origin, but maybe talk just a little bit about the construction and the development and how much was decided or thought about or kind of imagined before and how much came through the editing process.
The movie, how it came to be, was in a very organic manner. Like every step that we took, we advanced a bit. So we had this idea of having somebody telling the story of looking at the city through somebody's eyes. Then we found Liesbeth, and through Liesbeth we also found the adult high school place where we film a bit with Liesbeth. And there also a lot of other things came into being. Like, for example, the link that we made between Liesbeth and the pioneers, the first pioneers of the US. There was an idea. It plays in some of us movies from the past as well. So it's something that's on our mind. But it was also through following these classes in the school that were US history, for example. So that came about that way. Okay, and then through that, so we thought it would be a nice idea if Liesbeth and his classmates would read the diaries of the pioneers, of the first pioneers. That was something that they also did. They had to go in front of the class and read different kind of things. So also the letters of the pioneers, because we saw a link between Liesbeth and his classmates moving from Los Angeles to the desert to start anew, and of course the pioneers who also moved to the desert to start anew, to create a new life. So we thought that would be nice. And then another layer was Liesbeth's diary. That was the next step. So we thought it would be nice if Liesbeth would also keep a diary, because that would kind of empower what he is doing at that moment in the film. That would empower it as well. That would make it a myth as well, make it legendary as well. So we asked Liesbeth if he thought it was a good idea, and he thought it was a good idea to make a diary, but he said that he didn't want to write it. He just wanted to speak his words. So we worked on that for a while. So the diary of the film, the voiceover, it's all Liesbeth's thoughts. It's the way he says it. That's also the way it's the most beautiful and poetic. But so through these steps, little by little, we all added together, the three of us, and together with Liesbeth, these different layers.
The diary is really a structuring thing also that we play with. It's like, you know, sometimes you hear the diary before you see a scene, and you see a scene before you hear the diary. So it was a way of, in fact, the film is quite literal. It's like very, this is also why it's on the verge of fiction and documentary. There's not a lot of evolution, but it's quite literal in that way, that it structures, the diary structures really the whole film. And each scene is like a sort of a mini diary page of him. And sometimes there's like this tension between sometimes knowing a little bit before and a little bit after. So it's also very rhythmic in a way, the film, in that way. And that was in the editing process a lot. If you ask what was in the editing process, so it's almost musical how you can play with this idea of a diary. Sometimes things fall together, sometimes they're not. So it's like a composition that was made. That was a lot of work, yeah.
We should be close by now. Well, let's rotate this way and see what happens.
It ain't even on the map. It's now been 145 days since we left Los Angeles and came to California City. Some people will always want to come here, just like we did.
And then there's people who believe that there are alternate universes. There's a wormhole in one place, there's an outlet to another place, probably even another
dimension?
Galaxy. you know, nobody knows for sure because.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, like, have
don't
anybody sat up there and tested this
Don't.
shit? I swear to God, you're an asshole.
And this idea of working six hands on the whole process. I mean, three filmmakers. I mean, was this the first time you'd all worked together collectively? And was it? I mean, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we worked on each other's projects. Like we said, like Liesbeth said, we worked together, for example, on Desert Haze. That's how we came to know California City, but we never worked like with co-directors. So it's the first time we decided on doing that, and it's a completely different process, but very a great learning process, because yeah, first of all, there is what struck us is that from the beginning, normally if you make a film, you're very much inside your own head, but you don't need to explain everything. You just follow very intuitively a path. But when you're working with three, you really have to express everything that's in your mind and that's in your heart in a way. And it's a very great exercise to do that. It's very hard as well. But that was one of the things that in the beginning was kind of something that we had to learn, and that was really great. It's also, you would think that sometimes you can go faster when you work with three, but actually you go slower, because yeah, it's like every idea needs to be weighted by three of us. So you're very strict, like you have 3 votes, you know, and everyone, we didn't want to have compromises. So if 2 of us found these ideas of how to proceed good and the other one didn't, so we won't do it. So we wanted to have something that the 3 of us stood behind. So it's a slow path working with the 3. And we didn't expect, for example, that we had to do the edit also ourselves, because we didn't have an editor at the end. So that was not calculated in the beginning. So even that was like, Liesbeth calculated it, how much time we edited, and I guess we almost edited for a year, which is a lot. I mean, and it seems a simple structure in the film, but actually it was a lot of hard work with the 3 of us again. Yeah.
It's democracy in the making. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it was hard work and definitely a learning process. But and the 3 of us, I mean, we have, of course, a lot of things that binds us and similar interests and ideas. But it did start from a wanting to work together with somebody else, to break through also that lonely position that the director sometimes has, to share that, to look for new methods to work, to also to learn from each other. And I think from the beginning on, we did have a strong trust in each other, that for example, if Sofie and Isabel thought different about something than me, then maybe that was good for me to have 2 people that I trust say that to me. So it was definitely enriching. Sometimes difficult, but enriching.
Great. Maybe just as a conclusion to this little interview, changing the subject, but it's obviously very pertinent. Other than the fact that you're not in Barcelona and we're doing this now, how is the situation we're currently living going to affect independent film? How is it affecting you personally, or any thoughts on where we can go from here?
Yes. Well, it depends on what kind of filmmaker you are, of course. I guess for me and for Liesbeth and Isabel as well, we have until now always made films abroad. So it's always this relation with other places that we have and other people. And this kind of stops us right now. I mean, I was supposed to film, for example, in Japan in April. Of course, who knows when we will be able to do that. I mean, it's a moment of pause, and you can see it as also an opportunity to reflect on which steps you want to take, and instead of progressing on a film, maybe go deeper into a subject and exploring things right now. This is like also a moment of reflection in a way. If there's some time left during the day, it's also, we can see this as a moment of reflection. So perhaps this will be, yeah, who knows that we will have to, in the coming 2 years, make a film in Belgium, perhaps, I'm not sure. It could be something we will be forced to do, but that would be interesting as well. So yeah, and that's just the practical part of the whole COVID situation. But of course, financially, it's also been quite a disaster for a lot of people. So that's also something on another level that each of us personally has to deal with, yeah. But like I said, a moment for reflection is also a possibility that we can see in these times.
I don't have anything to add to that.
Okay. Well, thank you both very much. I'll be back in touch once the festival's over with some feedback and thank you so much and
Thanks.
bonne chance, mucha
Yeah.
suerte.